Michelle here with Poetry Saved My Life. It is April, which is National Poetry Month, so that's kind of cool. Today we are continuing our American Poet series with Sylvia Plath. She is one of my all-time favorites. I think I probably say that in every video about every poet. What can I say? I just love poetry. I just love it. So, Sylvia Plath. She was born in Boston in 1932 and studied at Cambridge. So she lived part-time in America or split her time between America and England. She was married to Ted Hughes, who was also a poet. We may or may not do him on the channel. I'm not really sure yet. But tragically, Sylvia Plath killed herself in 1963. She actually used gas from her oven, and she had two little children, Nicholas and Frida, I believe, and they were actually home when she killed herself, and she gave them a snack and sealed them off in the room so that the gas fumes wouldn't get to them, and then she turned the oven gas on and killed herself. So it's quite tragic, and it makes you really wonder what demons she was dealing with. So there it is. It's not a pretty story, but she did produce loads and loads of poetry before her demise, and a lot of it is haunting, a lot of it is gripping, sad, beautiful. So I really hope that you will enjoy it, and if you haven't read her poetry before, I really, really recommend it. She's also a Pulitzer Prize winner, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, we are going to be reading from Collected Poems. This is just, I think, a Barnes & Noble volume. I'll put a link in the description box if you would like to purchase it. I recommend it, of course. So today we're going to be doing one called Street Song. This one was written in 1956, and I find it very poignant, very visually stunning. I mean, obviously you don't see anything because there's no pictures, it's not a movie, but it makes you feel like you can see the pain, you can see the blood, you can see the torment, and you'll know what I mean after I read it. So without further ado, Street Song. Street Song. By a mad miracle I go intact among the common route, thronging sidewalk, street, and bickering shops. Nobody blinks a lid, gapes, or cries. This raw flesh reeks of the butcher's cleaver, its heart and guts hooked and bloodied as a cow's split frame, parceled out by white-jacketed assassins. Oh no, for I strut it clever, as a greenly escaped idiot, buying wine, bread, yellow-casked chrysanthemums, arming myself with the most reasonable items to ward off at all cost suspicions roused by thorned hands, feet, head, and that great wound, squandering red from the flayed side. Even as my each mangled nerve end trills its hurt out, above pitch of pedestrian ear, so perhaps I kneel dumb by your absence, alone can hear sun's parched scream, every downfall and crash of gutted star, and more daft than any goose, this cracked world's incessant gabble and hiss. So really beautiful, and I think you probably know what I meant at the beginning when I talked about visually stunning. It is quite vivid. She spends the first couple of stanzas really putting in your mind this idea of a bloodied carcass of raw, smelly, hanging flesh and bleh, right? Really quite extraordinary how she does this. And she talks about how no one notices it, right? No one notices the smell. She walks about the shops, the people, the regular streets. She buys horror chrysanthemums and, you know, everything else that you would normally purchase, right? And she says, I'm walk it clever, right? So to me, this is about a raw hurt. So some sort of loss or breakup or ending of some sort, maybe even slight going mad, maybe a deep, painful depression that is afflicting her soul and her psyche so that it feels like raw, hanging, painful, bloody meat. If you've ever had that sort of hurt, you know that feeling where you're not actually physically hurt. You don't have open gaping wounds, right? But it feels like that. Your guts feel like they're on display. And I think that's what she's saying. But she says these goose, right? The incessant gobble and hiss. So geese, you know, kind of dumb animals, right? And blah, 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 around and she's comparing that to the world around her and to the fact that no matter what pain you're in, no matter what scars you have, the world keeps moving. The world keeps turning. The world is often dumb to your pain, right? It is extraordinary. I think this is one of her best poems. It's not really one of her most popular ones, but I think it is one of the best. So I really hope you enjoyed it, and let me know how you feel about it. Let me know what you think about that imagery of the hanging cow and the blood and ripped flesh. Let me know. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on it. And please hit that subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any more of Miss Sylvia Plath's poetry or anyone else that we might feature on the channel. Speaking of other poets, if you have an idea of whom you'd love to hear or see me talk about on the channel, then please send me an email at poetrysavedmylife43@gmail.com, and I will do my best to include those poems and poets on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and please hit that subscribe button. I hope you have a lovely poetic day. Take care.